I believe that no member of Congress, by House rule, should be allowed to accept a donation for their campaign from a federal lobbyist or a federal political action committee. That money all has strings attached to it. And anybody who tries to tell you otherwise is lying. And when members take hundreds of thousands of dollars from lobbyists and PACs, they work for them more than they work for their constituents. And guess what? I intend to offer that amendment on the House floor in January, and I already have Democrats ready to vote for it, maybe even all of them. The second thing I would suggest is that if someone is a member of Congress, they should be prohibited from lobbying for life. Why is it so hard to say that you should choose one side or the other to be on? You're either in the lawmaking game or you're in the influence peddling game. And those who choose to be in the influence peddling game, go ahead, but you should sacrifice that when you get the privilege to represent 750,000 people. I intend to offer that amendment on January 3rd, and I expect that there will be Democrats voting for it. I will also introduce an amendment to have a ban on members of Congress trading individual stocks. How can we say that that is not something that dilutes our trust in markets and in governance when people are essentially able to bet on the outcomes that they have an ability to somewhat control? And I expect Democrats to vote for that. And finally, I would observe something that has really worked well in the state of Florida: a single subject rule. A bill coming to the floor should only deal with one subject. I was incensed as a freshman when I had to vote on the farm bill and whether or not to authorize war in Yemen in the same vote. And we could still have broad bills that relate to insurance or education or appropriations. But the notion that we lash all these things together does not serve our constituents and the American people. And I would expect, if we're in the majority, Democrats will vote for my amendment for a single subject rule.
I hate the fact that Democrats have done so horribly that they made Matt Gaetz sound reasonable. They literally made Matt Gaetz sound reasonable. Everything he said, I'm like, well, duh. Like, no shit, Sherlock. What? Why isn't that a rule? Why isn't that being done? Hmm? Matt Gaetz? Matt Gaetz. Are they serious right now? Look. I'm going to talk about this, but I just want to say hello to everybody. Welcome to the Jaybefaunt Show. I am your host, James Fauntleroy. It is so good to see every single one of you here today. Oh gosh, the Jaybefaunt Show is available on all major podcast platforms like Anchor, Apple, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, so you can subscribe to me there. I'm also part of the Revolutionary Blackout Network, so you can tune in to me on the JB Show on Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern, on RBN Live on Tuesdays at 4, and the Sabby and JB Show on Thursdays at 6. If you haven't yet, please make sure to give a like for this stream if you like what you're hearing so far. Also, appreciation and shout out to all the patrons on Patreon, Coffee, the members, as well as anybody who sends me mutual aid via different platforms. Thank you so very much. I would not be able to do this without you as well. Hello, Lady Alex. So good to see you in the chat. Sid Barr says, hello, all. Brazil in the house. Whoop, whoop. Hey. Obrigado for coming in. Thank you so much for joining. Sweary Fairy's also in the chat saying, how can I be so blessed with the cuteness on my screen? Ah! Truly, I must be a favorite child. Oh, thank you so much. You're such a sweetheart. All right. And yes, I am sorry for having Matt Gaetz on your screen that early. I really do apologize. Terry Connolly's also in the chat. Hello, good to see you. All right. Where he says, hey, everybody. All right. Uncle Warren is in that chat saying, hey, JB and fam. Cool Blue is in the chat saying, good afternoon. Good afternoon to you too, Cool Blue. All right. She's black, says Dems will only vote on that bill if they know it won't pass. I love it. I love it. Optimism of the Will says, hey, all right. We have Radical Nation saying muted. Yes, I was at first. I missed that, but I caught on. I caught on pretty quickly. I always make sure to check my systems first. All right. Because number one, they deserve to be complained about. Number two, some people are still grifted because of the politicians. And number three, the grift needs to be called out. And then on top of that, just like me and many other channels, including RBN, we continue to talk about this because there are people who are just now figuring this out and they need to see what's going on. So this is exactly why we continue to complain about them or tell the truth about them, as it were, because it absolutely needs to be talked about because people are continuously lied about by the Democratic and Republican parties. So that's why. Let me see. Terry Connolly said, "Oh, Terry saying, what's up to everybody? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? All right. Let me see. Who else? Among friends. Nice to have you. Greetings from Eugene, Oregon. Nice to have you from Eugene, Oregon. Welcome. Come on in. Do you have a snack? Have a snack. Have yourself something to drink. Look, if you do a little candy, smoke a bowl for me. Take a couple puffs for me too while you're there. Go ahead, have a seat. All right. And also we have New Mexico. Where are you guys all from too? By the way, I'm kind of curious. We have New Mexico. We have Oregon. Good to see you. The Jen. I have a hard time saying your username, but good to see you too. What up? All right. Okay, who else do we have in the chat? All right. Did I say hello to you yet, Gary Seth? I think I did. All right, Creative Experiment says, honestly, I've been laid off way more under Democrats than Republicans. Not saying one is better, just contradictions. Yeah, unfortunately, that's interesting. Denmark? Okay. You have Denmark. Good to see you. Chi-Town, Philly. You talking about edibles? Yojimbe says, Florida. You're in Florida? Oh, so am I. Nice. Sid says in Rio de Janeiro. All right. Good to see you. All right. And okay. In New York City. I donated to Stacey Abrams once. That money probably went to her lawyer. You know it did. All right. And also, is anybody in the chat on Rockfin? Not yet. They will be joining shortly. Okay. Cool. Ooh, in Burlington, New Jersey. Okay. Not the other Burlington. Oh, in Calgary, Canada. Ooh, nice. Mm. Mm. Mm, 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 mm. Yes, Lord. That tea is good. So now, good to see you all. Let's get into some of the stories that we're going to be doing today. But before we get to our primary story about Biden and the Democrats constantly playing you guys, because that's what actually happens, I want to get back to what Matt Gaetz said. So let's break this down. or as we would say in New Jersey, break it down. Yes, I'm from Jersey originally. So let's break it down. All right. So Homeboy decided to say,
I believe that no member of Congress, by House rule, should be allowed to accept a donation for their campaign from a federal lobbyist or a federal political action committee.
I agree. I agree. It's just funny that Matt Gaetz is saying it, even though he's a Republican, because they do the exact same thing. But he didn't attack Democrats. He just said any politician, meaning his own party. So is he attacking his own party now? I mean, is he attacking McCarthy? Is he attacking McConnell? I mean, one would hope. But I honestly, I have to say it, I do agree.
That money all has strings attached to it, and anybody who tries to tell you otherwise is lying. And when members take hundreds of thousands of dollars from lobbyists and PACs, they work for them more than they work for their constituents.
That part was actually out of a Princeton study, which actually showed that that's true. The super rich actually get more accomplished and what they want more accomplished than the average American person. The average American barely gets any of the things their agenda passed or even addressed in Congress versus those who are in the upper echelons of upper economic echelons in society. They actually get their voices heard and they get a lot done for them than they do for the rest of us. So unfortunately, and it pains for me to say this, but Matt Gaetz is actually correct on that one. See, here's the thing, and I think people need to realize is that if someone tells the truth, no matter who they are or their character, the truth is still the truth, right? Even if you disagree with them, which I heavily disagree with Matt Gaetz on so much. But he's right on this. That's the problem. That's the problem. He's right on this and a few other things. And the fact of the matter is that some people who simp for Democrats aren't even going to listen to him because of their hatred for him for what he stands for, which I agree. I don't like what he stands for. I hate what he stands for, right? But he's right. Are you going to listen to actually what he says? Or are you just going to go by, oh, well, he's a right-winger, so I can't listen to him? Because truth be told, there are a couple things that back in 2020 that Donald Trump even said that we were like, oh damn. Oh, damn. Peep this. Did you know that Donald Trump actually floated the idea of giving everybody Medicare during a pandemic? Donald J. Trump, as horrific as he is, he floated the idea of giving everybody Medicare. In that one tiny little instance, he ran to the left of Biden. Gosh. Keep going, man. Shit.
And guess what? I intend to offer that amendment on the House floor in January, and I already have Democrats ready to vote for it. Maybe.
Why hasn't a Democrat or have Democrats actually put this on the House floor? If they did they do it when they actually held power? Like right now, it's a lame duck, right? Did the majority in the House for Democrats go down a little bit? Yes, right? We don't know if they, if it's official that they've actually overtaken the House yet. They're still doing some counting, which is completely stupid. I mean, the mere fact that you have overly exploited countries that the United States has overly exploited and other Western nations have overly exploited, they're actually able to finish and do all their counting damn near same day in those nations. And the United States still is doing the counting about a week later is absolutely asinine, but that's beside the point. But here's the thing. You have people like Matt Gaetz that are proposing this on the floor. I haven't heard a Democratic politician go in front of cameras and say, this is what needs to be done, and I am going to propose this onto the House floor. I have not heard one progressive member of Congress brought this out. Now, please correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, but I haven't heard of it. And if they did, then please let me know. But here's the crazy part. Number one, is this going to happen during the lame duck session when they still have the numbers in the House and in the Senate? And will President Biden sign off on this? No. Sorry. Sorry. The truth just bubbles out. I'm sorry. But that rhetorical question, are they actually going to do it? Even though it's Matt Gaetz, will they sign on to it? Will they say, you know what? He's got a point. You know what? I disagree with him so much, but you know what? This needs to be a rule in order to keep democracy. Are they going to do it? See, many of you who watch me on a regular, who watch, MCSC, and those of you who may watch Jimmy Dore, and those of you who may watch RBN and Savvy Sabs, and many of you who watch the Indie News Network, and many of you who watch a lot of us on indie media, you guys already know the answer to this question. But some of you that are new may not actually know the answer to this question. You guys may be thinking, well, hypothetically, let's take Matt Gaetz and switch him out for Ilhan Omar, saying the exact same thing. I want you to close your eyes. Okay, excuse me. In this scenario, you switch out Matt Gaetz' punchable face and switch it in for Ilhan Omar. And she's reading the exact same thing. How many people would then look at this, especially those in the legacy left, would be like, oh my God, this is brilliant. Such strength from her. And yet, how many are actually going to talk about this and say, damn, he's actually correct? Did you like the stream yet? Go ahead, give it a like. So, hey, Yojimbe, hey. Don't answer yet. You're giving them away. Let them think for a second. Okay, so, but that's the funny thing. I haven't seen it, but let's continue.
Even all of them. The second thing I would suggest is that if someone is a member of Congress, they should be prohibited from lobbying for life. Why is it so hard to say that you should choose one side or the other to be on? You're either in the lawmaking game or you're in the influence peddling game.
He's making the Democrats look like fools right now. And it's Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz. Like, for real, y'all? Matt Gaetz? Y'all are letting this fool run to your left? I'm up to the point where I'm thinking I'm convinced. Y'all all part of the same team. Y'all working together. And now this is just a ploy to make the Republicans look better, so that by the time 2024 comes, then they're going to have a shellacking. The Democrats going to have a further shellacking. And then guess what? We're going to have a GOP president because that's what the oligarchs determine it to be. Because now they got to let off a little bit on the gas just so they can move further to the right because it's part of the ratchet effect. That's what it looks like to me. Lord. Allegedly. I say that for legal purposes. Let's continue.
And those who choose to be in the influence peddling game, go ahead, but you should sacrifice that when you get the privilege to represent 750,000 people. I intend to offer that amendment on January 3rd, and I expect that there will be Democrats voting for it. I will also.
Oh, January 3rd. Never mind. Never mind. Never mind. Because the thing is that it's like, okay, so you're going to offer this on January 3rd. How many Republicans are actually going to vote for it? And especially if the Republicans take the House. How many Republicans are going to join him on this? How many Democrats are going to join him on this? You know what? I think maybe a couple. Or a few, quite a few will join, but it'll be less than 50%. Just so that they can say, see, we voted on it and it didn't pass. Sorry. So it can't go over to the Senate. Gosh. Gee golly whiz.
Also introduce an amendment to have a ban on members of Congress trading individual stocks. How can we say that that is not something that dilutes our trust in markets and in governance when people are essentially able to bet on the outcomes that they have an ability to somewhat control?
Like Nancy Pelosi? And doesn't Ro Khanna's wife do the same thing? I mean, what about their spouses? I would argue that their spouses shouldn't be able to either. Look, if your name is on a marriage license next to somebody else, I don't think you should be able to either. Or if that other person that you're with is also on the mortgage. Because some people try to get around it by getting divorced and then still be with their partner. But I guess Matt Gaetz forgot to leave that out.
And I expect Democrats to vote for that. And finally, I would observe something that has really worked well in the state of Florida: a single subject rule. A bill coming to the floor should only deal with one subject. I was incensed as a freshman when I had to vote on the farm bill and whether or not to authorize war in Yemen in the same vote. And we could still have broad bills that relate to insurance or education or appropriations. But the notion that we lash all these things together does not serve our constituents and the American people. And I would expect, if we're in the majority, Democrats will vote for my amendment for a single subject rule.
Kind of reminds me of when Bernie was pressured into voting for the crime bill, even though he was against voting for the crime bill. But because they put the Violence Against Women Act in the crime bill, he felt that he was pressured into voting for it. I'd still kind of argue that Bernie still would have voted for it, even if the Violence Against Women Act was still in it. But that's another whole argument. But the thing is that Bernie voted for it because he said, well, the Violence Against Women Act was in it, and I didn't want to vote against it. And that's what they do. Sometimes they'll take good bills and they'll put some shit into it. And then guess what? They feel pressure to vote for it. So that's how it works sometimes. And the crazy part is, on each one of those points, Matt Gaetz was correct. However, the question is, will he actually call out his party and the fact that they do those things? Will he call out Chuck Schumer? Sorry, not Chuck Schumer. Mitch McConnell. Sorry, they all look the same to me. They're all war criminals. War criminals all look alike. Will he call out not just Pelosi, but will he also be willing to call out McCarthy? Will he be willing to call out Cruz? What about Hawley? See, that's the thing. Anti-establishment means anti-establishment. But I just don't think that Gates has it in him. This feels like a grift. It feels like a ploy to the Republican Party to make it think that he's outside of the fray, but he's not. Let's go to the chat. Hello, non-Zenzi. Says, hi, comrades. The World War III is right now being escalated. Polish journalists claim that Russian missiles have hit a Polish town. I think this is a false flag I warned about that is happening. Ooh. You know who's probably up to speed on this already? It's probably Nick. Guaranteed. He's up to speed on all this stuff. But thank you, Nonsensi, for that. Egg64, good to see you, says, oh, but James, the fundraising will be sublime, though. Yep. Hello, Bling Girl. Good vibes to you. John Chaos. All right. Catching up at 2 times. Good to see you. All right. Norman says, in theory, as an elected public servant, can say anything, not be sued. The idiot is the one who believes the statement. Well, that's true. Reality, says influence peddling. Right? Let me see. Yojin Bay says, I feel Carlin said it best. We have an illusion of democracy. It's a big club and we ain't in it. I love that Carlin. I wish Carlin was still alive, man. I really, really do. If Carlin was still alive, he probably would have moved further to the left. I honestly think that he, maybe not as far to the left as me, but I think Carlin would have moved even further. I think Carlin would be close to Roger Waters right now. That's honestly what I think. You know. Right, John? He said, damn, this intro, who'd have thunk I'd be cheering on Matt Gaetz and agreeing with every point he made? Right? I am so sorry, John, but... And you know what's funny? This actually came across my view about 45 minutes before I went live. That's why I'm like, oh, damn, I got to talk about this. I had no plans of talking about this, but it came across, it dropped in my lap. X64 says, Rokana, yeah, that's my wife's cousin's grandma's second cousin, Stockton. Wait. Hey, remember Spaceball? he said, I am your father's brother's sister's cousin's former roommate. What does that make us? Absolutely nothing, which is what you will be. Oh, Lord. I'm so silly. Welcome to the show, everybody. All right. You see. Make Earth great again. Oh, boy. Wow. Wadi says they do the omnibus bill trick all the time in Canada. I bet. I feel like I feel like Canada is just a bratty little brother to the United States. Why is my baby? I can't call. I'll talk to you right now because I'm live. All right, love you. Bye. Got that on camera. Love you, princess. All right. I only did it because I thought it'd be funny. Typically, I would have just rejected the call, but Brent Huggins says, "Is this fool trying to rehab his image or something?" Probably. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. So, Sid says he's stating all his intentions, but we know that they are really about the road to hell. That is also very true. See the change. Good to see you. Crazy how these people claim to care so much about the oppressed people, but will throw their own family under the bus real quick. Absolutely. Absolutely. Old Man Barker says, sounds about right. Yep, definitely. All right. All right. So, even though Matt Gaetz was right, it won't change a thing. But hey, that's him. But yeah. Yeah. So that's one thing I wanted to cover today. Now, let me get back to my notes. Yes, I'm that old. I have to have notes. Why is this? Jeez Louise. Sometimes technology doesn't work when you need it to. Sometimes it works too well. Sometimes it works. Gosh. All right. So I want to talk about a couple things before I get to the primary story. Yeah, I'm going to talk about this because it's related. A right winger and a white supremacist. And then we'll talk about Joe Biden. Okay. So this guy got some attention recently because of the things that he said to his black and brown students. And I just want to make sure I cover this on the show too. This is from Tariq Nasheed. And it says a teacher in Austin, Texas, calmly expressed his white supremacist ideology to black students in his class. This is the reason why we need reparations and an anti-black racism hate crime bill. By the way, we've never gotten one. So let's go. And he's pretty calm, so just listen to what he says.
Deep down in my heart, I'm ethnocentric, which means I think my race is the superior one.
Oh,
Wait, no, let me finish.
so white is better than all.
No, let me finish. You
Go
finish.
ahead.
I think everybody thinks that. They're just not honest about
Hey,
it.
I'm not racist though. I like all types of kinds.
Did I say I don't like people?
People only think
Wait,
that.
so you said you are what? You are
You
racist?
saying you're like
You're
I think
racist?
everybody's a racist at that level.
No, you said you are racist.
I did. I did. Yeah, I'm trying to be
Yes,
honest.
I am racist.
No, I'm not saying it again. I've said it enough.
So you're
I
racist.
think I like so you can stop speaking.
Yes, you
Is
said
it?
Put your phone up.
I respected you.
I'm
I
putting
actually
your phone up.
respected you for a while, but like
I'm putting
now
your phone up.
I don't even got no more respect for you.
Put it up.
Yeah, for I don't think I got respect for him no more, bro.
You know,
Mm-mm.
you should have more respect for them.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the type of people that are teaching our children. This. Now, he made the claim that everybody thinks that their race is better. I'll be honest with you. Do I think the race of black people in the African diaspora is amazing? Yes. Do I think that we have accomplished so much and given so much to the world? Absolutely. But do I think that they are better than other races? Not necessarily. I just think our resilience has been shown throughout the history because of white supremacy and because of the oppression that we have had on us, that it has made a huge impression upon me, and made me proud to be of my people. But I don't think inherently that we are, just because of this complexion, are better. Because I'm not a supremacist. I just think that because of what we went through, that means that our resilience is wonderful, right? But the question is, what has he been through as a people? What has he gone through? Number one, he has no claim to that. Not really. I mean, unless you want to say the Irish, maybe. But if he has any Irish in him, but he lives in a system where he is the most favored person. He is at the top of the totem pole. And now he is expressing his view of supremacy and saying that we are better to the impressionable minds of black and brown children in his classroom. This motherfucker just said that I am better than you to a bunch of black and brown kids. Let that sink in for a second. He just told them that he thinks he's better than them. Now, some of the kids were great because they were like, man, I don't have any more respect for you. I don't have any more respect for you. And they said it very calmly, cool. They didn't jump out of line. They were calm and cool. That whole angry black person trope did not appear at all with those kids. And by the way, I am proud as hell of those kids for staying as cool and calm and collected. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I wouldn't have been surprised if some of them had said, "What the fuck? Who the fuck you?" I wouldn't have been surprised. But I'm proud that they maintained their composure and were very cool and conversational and said, "I'm sorry, I just don't have any more respect for you." Which is also a testament to their parents because their parents did a good job with them. But the thing is that if I were the parent of one of these kids, which I could be because I'm old enough to have a kid that age. Hell, I'm old enough to have an adult child now. Yeah, I look good, don't I? But these kids, and they're probably 12, 13, probably. If this were one of my kids in this class, I would have pulled my kid out of that class. I would have went to the school, sat down with the dean and the principal and said, I do not feel comfortable with my child in a class with a white supremacist. And I would have showed him this video. And I would have said, is this what you're all about? And I would have recommended to my kid to walk out of that class as soon as he said something like that. And I would have told him, influence all your other fellow students to walk out of that class and stand and even chant something saying that we will not be taught by white supremacy. Because the mere fact that you have people like that, and then here's the funny part: you have right wingers talking about indoctrination in schools. You know what? But they won't talk about this. They won't dare to touch this. How many of them will touch this? They want to talk about they want to talk about critical race theory, which, by the way, critical race theory is actually taught at the college level, and it's taught primarily, I think, in law schools. I'd argue that it actually should be taught in middle school. That's what I think. But then they probably look at me like I'm crazy. But it's not even be taught in elementary and high school. And yet, they want to talk about indoctrination? This man just indoctrinated or tried to indoctrinate white supremacy into his students. Yet, if I were a teacher and if I wanted to put a picture up of me and my boyfriend, I would get fired. So me showing that I have love for another person, even though we're the same gender, that's wrong. But expressing a supremacy over people of a different skin color, and even then promoting of the hate of people with a different skin color, to the point where people have been dying and being killed because of that view of supremacy, that's okay. That's okay. Is that okay, Texas? I would hope that a bunch of parents are right now protesting at that school. I would hope. He looks like he's old enough to have an adult child. How much you want to bet one of his adult children is actually a cop with those same ideas? So yeah. In fact, let me share this tweet in the chat. Oh, nope, that's not what I wanted. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Hang on, let's refresh. Okay, I'm gonna share this in the chat, and if you guys want to, you guys can share this as well, because I'll be honest with you, that deserves outrage. It does. Also make sure to share this in Rockfin, just in case there's anybody watching that wants to do this too. Okay. All right. So that was something that also came across my desk. And I'm just like, what the hell? So, yeah. Welcome to the United States, people. All right. Let me go to the chat. Mm-hmm. Emoji says it's weird to build self-worth based on the accomplishments of dead people. I mean, being proud of, your lineage and, your people, despite, whatever may have happened, I mean, that's okay. especially if it's within ethical ways and morally just ways. I don't see anything wrong with it. But the thing is that somebody like this guy, I mean, what really does he have a leg to stand on about being proud of? I mean, genocide, torture, rape, and pillaging. What you know I mean, that's the only leg he has to stand on, and that's not even a leg to stand on. Reality Revolution said he's tricking them, right? I don't know. Sungoro, Sungor, I'm gonna say Sundorgo. Did I say that right? Sundorgo, 69. Nice. Says this video is proof that white supremacy is alive and well in America and in Austin, Texas, a place usually associated with social progressivism. Yeah, I heard Austin also has a huge like gay population, like a lot of LGBTQ people are there too. So it's just sad. See the Change says, what have white people earned to this point in supporting white supremacy? Yeah. Terry Connolly says he doesn't need to be teaching, period. I agree. Yep, it is definitely ridiculous. Kat says only the group who hold power can be race bigoted. That's true, because the thing is that when it comes to racism, it means that you know you have the power to oppress other people because you feel that your race is more superior, and so therefore you can systemically and systematically oppress a group of people based on that. Black people cannot systematically or systemically oppress white people in this nation because we do not hold the levers of power like that. So therefore, can black people be racist? No. Bigoted? Yes. Gosh. What he says, he's keeping Austin weird. Sid. Oh, are you talking about Elizabeth Warren? Oh my gosh. Gosh. Yojin Bay says MLK should be taught we need to ascend over race. The thing is that the whole thing is we should, number one, not uphold one race over another, but at the same time we need to see other people who are not like us. We need to value them as well. But at the same time, having pride despite what you as a people have been through, I think is okay. The problem is that you have people like this who, number one, what have they truly accomplished? Nothing. Number two, he's expressing a supremacy over other people, that he's better inherently just because the amount of melanin in his skin. No. So, I mean, MLK, Malcolm X, Kwame Ture, Fred Hampton, Asada Shakur, Angela Davis, Nina Simone, they should be taught. Yes, they should be taught. Venta Cafe says, act racist and then demand respect. Yeah. It's like, how you going to demand respect if you display opinions like that, horrid opinions. Gina says, I don't know how they could be calm and cool when talked to like that. See the reason why I'm just like, I'm floored by the amount of control these kids have, because there's a lot of us that would have been like, this motherfucker. You know how many of us adults, what The kids are going to be all right. All right. Oh, wait. Shundergo. Oh, okay. It's Hungarian, which is hard to pronounce for English speakers. Thank you. Okay, Shundergo. Okay, I'm going to remember that for next time. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right. Shundergo says Kwame Ture saying that Marxism would have been discovered in other circumstances. It's just that Marx was then and there when it happened and was the one to examine it. Yeah. I actually want to read his book on this channel too. I want to get into him. Yeah. And then Kat Terrell says Texas is a place where many people of color have been vocally cut down for over a century. Thank you. All right. Now, to the primary story. Actually, let me check Rockfin to see if anybody commented yet. No. Okay. So the primary story. Okay. Joe Biden. Joseph R for repulsive. Biden. He played you. Not many of you who are in the chat and many of you who are watching, because you guys already peeped the game. But some of you who are new, who are still thinking, well, the Democratic Party is still better than the Republican Party. Nope. Peep the game. Because Joe Biden said time and time again, oh, well, we're gonna pass all these things. We're gonna make all these things correct for you guys. And Roe v. Wade and student debt cancellation and increase the minimum wage and all these other things. It didn't happen. Hell, let me ask you all this. Where's the public option? Where's the public option? Didn't he run on a public option? Go ahead, Google it. I'm waiting. He didn't, did he? Okay, so with that being said, Joe Biden played y'all. Not y'all. Hell, y'all know what I'm saying. But he played y'all like a Nintendo. Let's go. All right, kids. Everybody and their mama on Twitter, on left Twitter, was sharing this. Get out of my face, you damn screen. Okay. This is out of NBC News. Biden says Democrats will not be able to pass abortion rights legislation. Quote, I don't think there's enough votes to codify unless something happens unusual in the House. So, this came out yesterday. President Joe Biden said on Monday that he did not expect Democrats to have enough votes in Congress to be able to pass legislation codifying Roe v. Wade. Excuse me. Asked in a news conference in Bali, Indonesia, what Americans can expect Congress to do in abortion access, Biden said, I don't think they can expect much of anything other than we're going to maintain our positions. Do you know what this means? What he said, I don't think they can expect much of anything other than we're going to maintain our positions. Do you know what this means? We're not doing shit. We're not. That's exactly what he's saying. Oh, you guys actually thought. Oh, you thought. Oh, no. No. Mm-mm. No. Oh, you thought we were Oh no. Really? Oh, poor thing. Roe v. Wade overturning. Codified. Silly goose. Silly goose. We're going to maintain our position. Biden said, I don't think there's enough votes to codify unless something happens unusual in the House. He said, I think we're going to get very close in the House, but I don't think we're going to make it. Why so glum, chum? You can't whip votes? You're not going to try? This was the guy who allegedly wrote the Violence Against Women Act. This is the guy who said he's for the rights of women. He's not going to try. He's not going to push. He's not going to campaign around the country, jump in the Air Force One, go to the districts of some of these people who are Republicans and try to codify Roe v. Wade into law. Keep the government out of the doctor's offices with women. Stop getting in between, the woman and her doctor. Going to talk about, freedom. You're not going to try? I mean, hell, you can do it right now. We're in a lame duck session. You still have majority in the House and the Senate. Why not try? You guys should have had a law, a bill written up already. I mean, you've been president for almost 2 years now. What's wrong, Joe? I thought you actually liked women. Oh, well. I'm sorry, girls. He likes girls. Here's the thing. How many of you in the chat actually thought, like literally thought, that this might happen, that the codification of it all, I know I just made up that word, but the codification of it all was actually going to happen? How many of you actually thought that? Just let me know in the chat. Because I'm sitting here like, I beat the guy. Gina came in. She was like, wait, hold up. Gina said, ha! Yup. Gina got the right idea. Bobby said, hell no. Yep. Norman even said the law has been seen to be equal for all. Kat said no. Terry Connolly's laughing his ass off. Or their ass off. Sorry, I didn't mean to assume your gender. Omar said, it's all word salad. Yup. And guess what? Has no nutrition like a regular salad. Candle both said, nope, not me. The Genom said, yo. Bobby said, they ain't work for us. Gorgo, gosh, I gotta get that right. Sorry. Said the dude is literally a decrepit pedo with a deteriorating mind who hasn't a single clue where he is. He isn't getting anything done. Omar said nothing good is codified. Steven says, hell no. Gina, I don't mean to assume genders, but I think you're a woman. So I want to give you the last word on this. Gina says, as soon as they hinted at overturning it, Dems started drooling over the money they will be able to raise. Fuck no. I wasn't duped. Thank you, Gina. Thank you. All right. Shall we continue? Shall we continue? This is a clusterfuck. If you're a Dem Party reformist, you're probably pissed. You're probably pissed. But the rest of us were like, yeah, this wasn't going to happen. We already knew. But we told them, just like the student debt cancellation. But that's a whole other thing we got to talk about. Okay. It says control of the House remains unresolved as vote counting in the midterm elections continues. Republicans remain the favorite to control the chamber by a narrow majority. Democrats have kept control of the Senate, but passing a bill through would likely require 60 votes, which would necessitate about 10 Republicans supporting it. Interesting. Now I'm going to call BS on this. Exit polls show that abortion was a major voting issue for voters this election cycle. It's probably fourth or fifth on the list. I would argue that economy was probably higher on that list, but what do I know? Although Democrats performed surprisingly well in the midterm elections, you're right. This is NBC News, remember. Biden's remarks Monday underscore limitations of his policy agenda as he adjusts to what will likely be a divided Congress, which is exactly what they want, I'd argue. Yeah. JB is not impressed. But here's the thing. So everybody was like, oh my God, Roe v. Wade is on the ballot until it wasn't on the ballot. Are you surprised? Apparently, student debt cancellation wasn't on the ballot either. Well, how could it be? Because it was done by executive order. You didn't need anybody on Congress to do it. And it wasn't like President Biden was actually running for re-election this year. So therefore, it could have happened, but it didn't. Interesting. It was as if it was a tool to fundraise. Let's go and look at some tweets, shall we? Because I think this is necessary for us to take a look at. Because there's a couple people who actually had some interesting takes that I think it would help us to keep in mind what actually happened. All right. Homie David Michael actually shared a tweet, which was actually really good. Shout out to you, David Michael. David Michael said, the $15 parliamentarian thing was bullshit. Remember the $15 minimum wage that they were trying to pass through, and then the parliamentarian said, no $15 for you. Remember that? Well, guess what? They allowed an unelected person in a higher position in Congress to say no to $15 an hour minimum wage. Someone that the people did not choose, that could have been removed from their position in order to pass it, they said no. And then guess what? The Biden regime was like, sorry, the parliamentarians said no. That's like having a child that's about 4 or 5 years old, and you tell them to clean their room, Or you don't even tell them. You ask them really nicely, can you clean your room, please? And the child goes, no. And then you go, well, I guess we did the best we could. He said no, so I guess I'm just gonna have to respect that. Sorry, he can't clean his room. Yet you have authority over that child. Rotating villain, people. Rotating villain. All right. Oh, dear God. All right. Hit us another time, David. Says the whole pot pardon was a farce. Absolutely. This is Biden's greatest fail hits. Pot pardon. So he was saying, oh, well, I'm going to pardon anybody for marijuana possession, for simple marijuana possession, who is in a federal prison. Nobody's in prison for just simple possession, number one. And if they are in prison for simple possession, it's state prison. It's not federal prison. So Biden couldn't do a damn thing about state prisons, number one. Number two, anybody that was in federal prison for just simple possession, you're probably already out. So it doesn't make any sense. So therefore, nothing was going to happen. He was just blowing smoke up your ass. Yeah. So it didn't happen. Hit me again, David. All right. He said, the student loan debt relief crumbled as it was set up to fail. Yes, it was set up to fail. Because instead of going through the Higher Education Act, they instead go through this COVID Relief Act. And so it got struck down in court. And it was extremely means tested, which means some people got left out. I guarantee you this, if you were to just cut it all across the board for everybody, there'll be a lot less people that'll be willing to go, damn, well, you know what? We need to fight against this. No. The only people that probably would have been against it are the people who, are over these like student loan companies and stuff like that. They probably would have been the ones that are like, oh man, we can't have that. But everybody else would have been like, oh, shoot, okay, cool. So yeah, that happened. Then, oh, why did I do that? Okay, all right. Then, let's enlarge this again. The codified row was a steaming pile of crap. Yes, as we just covered, they're not going to be able to codify it. Why? Peep the game. They never wanted to codify it at all. It was a means to basically grift money off of you. Roe v. Wade is on the ballot, so donate money to our Act Blue, and then we'll be able to do it. Not! Do you feel like a sucker yet? You were run amok, hoodwinked, bamboozled. Especially a lot of you who are Gen Z. I'm telling you right now. And part of that fault is on Gen X and millennials. So we bear some of that responsibility. Why? Because we were fooled. So we told y'all, oh, vote for Democrats if you guys actually want progress. We're sorry. We're sorry. Y'all got fooled too. If we had known 7, 8, 9 years ago what we know now, we just said, get out of both those parties and go the other direction. But we were fooled. And so we took some of that foolish thinking and we imparted to Gen Z and Gen Alpha. We're sorry. So yeah, that's what happened. But he said, but you absolute dipshits keep supporting these fucking fascist puppets. And then here's a quote by the great James Baldwin. I can't believe what you say because I see what you do. Clap it up one time for James Baldwin, people. Clap it up one time. Because James Baldwin was right. Because here's the thing. You mean to tell me that the same guy that put laws in place, that helped implement laws in place to keep you from declaring bankruptcy on your student loans, wasn't going to help us to cancel these student loans? Really? You're just now finding out? Yes. Joe Biden also helped put bills in the Congress that were codified into law that you could not declare bankruptcy on your student loans. Why in the world? Hang on, let me take this down for a second. Why in the world would I ask an arsonist to help me fight a fire on a house? Make that make sense. Why would in the world would I ask an arsonist to help me fight a fire on a burning house? Doesn't make sense, does it? So the whole thing about blaming the party that's not actually in power is stupid. It's folly. It's foolish. That's what Mike Figueredo did when he called Colin and Sabby dipshits. Instead of actually thinking to himself, well, you know what? Joe Biden really doesn't want to do this, so he may come up with an idea to make it seem like he's actually fighting for us when actually he doesn't want to, and he's puts up this ruse to make it seem like he's actually going to be doing that. That's honestly what happened. It was super flimsy. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna put this analogy out there. As disgusting as it may be, it works. That's like putting peanut butter on your balls and not expecting the dog to lick it. I don't know. He just started licking me for some odd reason. That's like taping pork chops to your ass and not expecting the dog to bite your ass. Like, what? Oh no, I didn't know he was gonna bite me. You knew. That's like building a boat and then drilling a bunch of holes in it and being like, I'm sorry, I didn't know I was gonna sink. I patched it up with pieces of loose leaf paper just so that we wouldn't sink. And then you sink and you're like, are you kidding me right now? And you believed him? Mike, are you serious? Michael. And then you had the nerve to call Sabby and Colin dipshits over it? You actually had the nerve, the nerve to call them dipshits. When even Brianna Joy Gray had on a guest that actually talked about how faulty it was and how it's probably going to fail 2 months ago. And then you're like, oh no, it was a Trump appointed judge. It could have been it could have been a Biden appointed judge. It still wouldn't have mattered. It was still on faulty legal means. So yeah. And by the way, have you apologized to Sabby and Colin yet? They're waiting. They're waiting on their apology. You owe them that. Michael, apologize. Also, Jordan Sheridan, yes, you need to apologize to us. Why? Why do you need to apologize? Because you presumed to think that those of us in a black group that pays attention to our community here and abroad and talks about important topics that affect us, that we do not know how to talk and discuss about white supremacy, that you think that we actually don't consider it. Please do not presume to know what we know about white supremacy, because guess what? You're white, dude. You don't know what the fuck we go through. So how are you going to say something like that? We're going to talk about that more in RBN. But don't do that. Don't do that. You're going to tell us that we don't cover white supremacy enough. Because we have to cover it out of the GOP, but we can't cover it out of the Democrats? Newsflash! The Democrats are just as racist as the Republicans. I did not mince words. I did not stutter. They are just as. The only difference is one is covert, one is overt. But maybe if you listen to us, you would know that, Jordan. And maybe, just maybe, if focusing on the birth of your new daughter, congratulations, by the way, then you would realize that this is not a fight that you need to be in. Maybe you should be tending to your new daughter and the mother of your child who just had a baby. But instead, you're fighting with us on Twitter and saying that we're grifters. Stop it. Stop it. Savvy just laid out all the receipts on why you're wrong. So number one, you owe us an apology. And Michael Figueredo, you also owe Savvy and Colin an apology. Apologize. Because Michael, you were wrong about the thing about the student debt cancellation, and you're wrong about calling Savvy and Colin dipshits. I said what I said. I'm not giving him more attention than that. Anyway, so I think that's all the more somber news that I wanted to cover. There's also a couple things that I wanted to cover outside of that. Let me check something, because there's a news story that I kind of want to talk about, but I don't know if I'm going to cover it on RBN, if I'm going to cover it here. Because it's very deep, but it has to do with what a lot of us, what the police. I think I'll talk about this on a separate stream. It's very deep and very somber. Yeah, I'm done with somber topics. I have some decent news to go over though. Something to uplift us, actually. But before I go into that, let me go into the chat just to get some dialogue from the people in the chat. Jenna says it was set up to fail. He's playing dumb. Unfortunately, I feel when you're rooting for the Democratic Party, and here's the thing, I'm going to make this abundantly clear. Just because you criticize the Democratic Party doesn't mean you're still not loyal to them. Your fealty and loyalty to them, even though what they have done, especially to Black people, they are just as bad as the Republicans. The only difference is the Democrats participate in kabuki theater to make themselves look like they are allies with us when they are not. And many of us Black people are waking up. This is why we're leaving the Democratic Party. Some, unfortunately, are being fooled by Republicans and are joining them, which is foolish as well. But guess what? We're done. We're done. And so the dedication and fealty to this group of people that are more concerned with kneeling in kente cloth while funding this occupying military force that constantly shoots us down with impunity, your dedication to them more than those of us who are constantly being oppressed, it really shows your privilege. And it's just like, I like, what do you want me to say? Thanks, Carrie. Cat Terrell says, I know Figueredo. Yeah. And the thing is, look, I'm not calling him racist at all. I'm not saying that. But the actions and sometimes the words and the presumptions that some people use can be racist. Do I think he is? No. But you gotta work, you gotta decolonize your mind out of this stuff, man. And then lying about what we do or don't do in public, no. We deserve a public apology for that one. From both of you. Stephen says, remember that if a revolution appears to be coming, libs will turn into fascists real quick. They will defend their class and ditch everything else. Unfortunately, that's well documented. It's happened before. Yeah, it seems like people are being paid, to be wrong. John, the problem is I see a lot of potential. And I feel like it's just being foregone just to root for a group of people who's been playing us every 2 to 4 years. That's what it feels like. And then when we Black people complain, then it's like, shut up and get in line. And now that we're saying no, now there's a whole bunch of finger waving at us because we won't get in line. And because we're openly talking about how terrible they really are. And they're saying, well, they're better than the other guy, when in reality, they are not. What did I just talk about for the last, hour and 20 minutes? Hour and 15 minutes I just finished talking about? I just finished talking about that. how they failed, how they played everybody. And then the fact that we're talking about how Joe Biden and the Democrats failed everybody, and yet somehow we're in the wrong for pointing that out. How they played everybody just like the Republicans. And please don't get me started with how some people are trying to argue that a right-wing extremist is equal to another is not equal to another right-wing extremist. Biden and Trump are both right-wing extremists. And you've seen how they both operate. They've operated the exact same way. Except for one lies to you about supporting you, and the other one just tells you he doesn't give a shit about you. That being said, why am I going to sit here and give deference? I'm sorry. Why am I going to give deference to a man that, number one, eulogized Strom Thurmond, who's a racist, said that he doesn't want his kids to grow up in a racial jungle, allegedly sexually assaulted Tara Reade, helped author the 94 crime bill, which people now call Joe Biden the father of mass incarceration, made it so that you can't declare bankruptcy on your student loans, and a ton of Black people have an immense amount of student loan debt, was the vice president when Black wealth tanked, also helped push in Clarence Thomas and basically disrespected a Black woman when she tried to come out about Clarence Thomas and the sexual assault allegations or sexual harassment allegations against him. So why am I? Oh, by the way, also was in support of the Hyde Amendment and was anti-choice, as well as did not support marriage, gay marriage at all. Just a few years ago. So why am I being told that I need to see him as somehow better than Trump when they're both basically the same? And we told y'all about it, but you didn't listen. You were like, oh, we just got to get rid of fascism, when fascism has been here for like at least 40 years. I'm not being hyperbolic. Even they said it 24 years ago, 40 years ago, they were saying the same things. Smoke on that. Bill Bradley, good to see you, by the way, Bill. Says they have a white savior complex. They think they need to protect you like you can't look out for yourself. It's racism, even if they don't see it. Here's the problem with, and I'm going to confirm what you said, Bill. It's like okay, I'm going to say it. It's just like the whole Jimmy Dore thing. It's like as if we're being fooled by him. Like, oh man, you guys are too stupid to realize what he's actually saying. And it's like, yeah, we understand what he stands. And do we have disagreements on certain things? Yes. But do we have a lot of overlapping agreements? Absolutely. In fact, y'all had overlapping agreements as well. And even Jimmy platformed you two as well. Do we need a reminder how Jimmy Dore had Mike Figueredo on his show, and then Jimmy Dore also came and talked to Jordan Sheridan on his show. And really, has Jimmy actually changed anything? No. And then don't get me started on the Tucker Carlson thing, because if you guys want to talk about Tucker Carlson, then you guys also need to say the same things about Nomiki Konst as well as Dr. Cornel West. If you're going to condemn Jimmy Dore, then you need to condemn Dr. Cornel West and Nomiki Konst. But you won't, right? Because it's about personality, not actual policy. That's the problem. And so it's thinking, oh, well, you guys are too stupid to know exactly what's going on. So we got to tell you guys what's going on so we can protect you. And it's like, wait, number one, we don't need your saviorship, because we actually know what the fuck is going on. We're just not going to go through the channels that you want us to go through, because we've seen the channels that you want us to go through and nothing has changed. So we're going back to the same revolutionary tactics and thought that our leaders of the old have done, because what they've actually done has actually helped us more than going through the Democratic Party. This is why you see us talk about Fred Hampton, Malcolm X, MLK, Kwame Ture, Assata Shakur, Angela Davis, Huey Newton. This is why you see us, a lot of us, talking about these people. Why? Because they had it right. Because they were going outside of the system. And somehow, if we go outside of that TLIT approved system, then apparently we're wrong. But we must be doing something right because we're throttled. We must be doing something right because we now have people who are part of the liberal circles after us all the time. Now getting back to the peanut butter one of my Desert Mantis, don't you dare get me in trouble. Oh, hell, it's okay. You can get me in trouble. Oh, hey, Screw Google. Good to see you. Exercise and futility definition. Yeah. Thank you so much. Hello, Meow says, I live in Portland and it's very, ooh, yikes. Repealing slavery barely passed. It's so gross. Hearing that Mike is afraid to leave his home is laughable. He's scared of poverty. Ooh. Yeah. And I know sometimes I miss people in the chat saying hello. I don't do it on purpose. It's just that some people I miss. And sometimes this chat can go, and then when I'm on my ranch or something like that, I'm not looking at the chat. I'm actually looking at you. So I apologize if I do, but yeah. But yes. So that's something that I wanted to touch on, because no, you're not going to sit here and dictate to us, that, oh, you guys need to touch on Republicans. Number one, everybody knows Republicans are shit. We know, everybody else knows. We're not going to talk about them because why? We're not going to talk about them because we know they're terrible. The problem is that Democrats placate us. And so therefore, it is important for us to let people know that they are just as bad as Republicans. Why am I going to point to you a brightly colored snake in the grass that you know is dangerous, and I know you can see it? Why am I going to point that snake out, but then I'm not going to point out the snake that's camouflaged? No, I'm going to point out the snake that's camouflaged. Oh, it's like, oh yeah, you see that snake? But right there, look right there, that snake right there, yeah, that snake is camouflaged that you can't see it, but it's right there. And that snake also has venom in it. They'll lull you to sleep so that it can wrap around you and then devour you. That's what we're doing. That's why we call out the Democratic Party. Because there's so many people who are they're still propagandized. They're still brainwashed. They're sitting there watching MSNBC and going, oh my God, fascism is coming. I'm sorry, baby. I hate to tell you, but it's already been here for quite a while. We're just trying to wake you up so that you can get into action to start fighting against it. All right, so let me go here really quick. All right, some positive things before I get going. So this is from a tweet from Vote Third Independent. It says the Green Party so far claims 14 victories in 2022 elections, with party members elected to positions such as mayor, city council, school board, water board, community service district, fire protection district, and advisory neighborhood commission. So that is good. So just to let you guys know that yes, there are third parties that are, that are claiming victories, which is good. So this is something I think to the credit of third parties as well. Hey Sam. Yeah, I'll be over there in a second. He's starting a little early because there's a couple things that he wants to cover just to make sure we get all the subjects covered. I'm running a little late. But I'll be over there shortly as well. But thank you so much. I appreciate it. But yeah, so this is some good news that I want to share. Also, JB gets the other good news. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I will. There's also, oh my God, this thing.
You can't change. Come on.
Mhm. Also, some good news. Mhm. Oh, this is also something I want to show. This is a thread, and shout out. I'm not sure if he's watching, but YepX, shout out to you because I wanted to make sure I get to this as well because this is also really cool. If you guys don't follow YepX on Twitter, it's at Hades Sean. But this is also something in history that he shared on his Twitter that I also want to cover as well. So this is a thread. He says, this day in history, November 15th, 1922, troops of the Ecuadorian government fired on a crowd of 20,000 striking workers and their families who were celebrating the release of two other leaders from prison in the coastal city of Guayaquil, Ecuador's second largest city. Continues, killing over 300. Soldiers pursued workers, shooting randomly in bayonet scores. Eyewitnesses also observe wealthy private citizens joining the slaughter of the workers. Class 4, baby. Guayaquil and its surrounding area were a world center of production. Guayaquil and the surrounding area were a world center of production of cacao beans, the seeds used to make chocolate, and the market had been severely impacted by post-World War I recession. There was a massive inflation of Ecuador and imports of basic foodstuffs. Sound familiar? on which the city heavily dependent, had declined by 2/3 in just a year. Rents had quadrupled. Does that sound familiar? On October 17th, railway workers in the nearby town of Durham struck, winning significant concessions from the American owners, including the right for Ecuadorian and immigrant Jamaican workers to be paid in gold or American dollars, as American employees of the company were, rather than the rapidly depreciating Ecuadorian sucre. Inspired by the success of the railway workers, utility and trolley workers in Guayaquil began strikes on November 6th through the 7th. They demand wage increases, shorter hours, and job security. In the next few days, factory workers and printers joined the strike. Printers ran off thousands of leaflets that called on union and non-union workers alike to join the strike. Mass assemblies of workers were held, which included delegations of railway workers from Durham. By November 13th, a general strike had taken hold in the city. Strikers began to raise political demands, including calls for laws that would support the sucre, since workers understood that any wage increases would be short-lived because of inflation. Workers began to raise democratic demands such as redistribution of land to landless peasants, as well as calls for the protection of national industry. The massacre broke the momentum of the strike, and mediocre pay raises were settled by November 21st, soon to be eroded by inflation. The government blamed the violence on anarchist and Bolshevik influence, and a whitewash of the military's role in the massacre followed. The labor movement in Ecuador was set back for years. So this is just also a historical analysis to say that this happened. Do not be surprised that this won't happen here. Be prepared. Be in total preparedness for something like that to happen here. But I would like to thank YepX for also showing this. And I wanted to highlight this because this was a great piece to show about history of worker movements in other countries as well. So I just want to give my express thanks to YepX for that as well. But yeah. And then there's one more thing I want to show, and this one is going to be lighthearted before I go, because I just wanted to give this some attention as well, because, well, I like stuff like this. So, and I think you guys will get a little bit of enjoyment out of it as well. So, hang on, let me get into this. Why is this thing's not working the way I want it to? It's okay though. Life will go on. Okay. Oh, okay. And I like showing stuff like this because we want to have some joy in our life, and I think this is good to show. So this is from Deep Frogger on Twitter, and this is just something to make your heart sing a little bit. So let's go.
There we go.
It is said charity begins at home, and for these young orphaned elephants, this charitable foundation is what they call home. It is the place where they discover and are taught life's lessons, experience love, and grapple with loss. And even for millions of other species, home hangs in the balance. Human actions are destroying habitats, decimating our entire ecosystem, and disrupting the circle of life. And with the rise in drought cases, it is up to us to be guardians of our own natural world, save our wild species, and provide a home.
This is one of the reasons why we need to try to do what we can to preserve our planet. Because of stuff like this, man. This is just gold. This is just beautiful, right? And it just, makes our heart happy, and I know I talk a lot about, some of these more depressing topics, especially what goes on in the world. But when, you see things like this, it's important to see how, wonderful our world can really be, especially if we just take care of it and each other. And that's one of the reasons why I do what I do. That's one of the reasons why I talk about the things that I talk about. Because there's so much goodness out there. There's so much kindness and compassion, even in, species that are not even human. And this is why fighting for these things are so important. So I also wanted to, do that and talk about things like that. And so I just want to, let people know that there is something worth fighting for. Things like that. If you have a pet, if you have a child, if you're looking at a nature documentary, just think to yourself, this is worth fighting for. If you're a teacher in a school or looking at students, if you're passing by a school and see a bunch of little kids, just think to yourself, this is worth fighting for. Did you subscribe yet? I hope you did. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you haven't liked the stream, please make sure to like the stream as well. I will be also getting into Dirty Truths by Michael Parenti really soon. I have to finish this book up because this book is fire. I will be doing that as well. I will continue and going into chapter 2 of the autobiography of Assata Shakur on my channel. So I will be getting into that. Thank you so much to everyone who has been in the chat. You guys are amazing. You guys are very knowledgeable and inspiring. So I just want to thank all of you who watch and I see your comments as well. And I may not be able to respond, but I also make sure to heart and like them too, because I see you. And I appreciate all the love so much. Guys, gals, and people, love you all so much. I'm going to be going over to RBN in a minute. But look, water your plants, water yourselves, leave the world better than you found it. And just think about elephants, people. Forehead kisses. Love you.